like this. It says, so wonderful. So wonderful. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. It's so marvelous. Say, so marvelous. God is doing it on the inside. God is doing it on the inside. So wonderful. So wonderful. So beautiful. God is doing it on the inside of me. So wonderful, so beautiful, so marvelous. God is doing it on the inside of me. God is doing it on the inside of me. So wonderful. Wonderful, yeah. So marvelous. God is doing it on the inside of me. God is doing it on the inside of me. Yes, He is, yeah. How many know that He's doing wonderful things, yeah? Yeah, He's doing wonderful things, yeah. Good morning and welcome to the Daily Download. I'm your host, Dr. Darrell R. Pulley, and I am in Chautauqua, New York. That's right, Chautauqua, New York, here for week one of the Chautauqua Conference. And I am so glad to be with you on the Daily Download. I'm grateful for our production manager today, my bestie, Donald Beasley, who's doing a phenomenal job showing you exactly where I am. I'm telling you, I've never been to a place like this in all of my life. There are over 10,000 people here, and it is like being on a college campus. It's like the adult summer camp. Anything that you desire to do, it is here at Chautauqua. I went to the movies last night. They have their own movie theater right on the campus. I'm just so excited that this is the day the Lord has made, and I am rejoicing, and I am glad in it. Yes, this is the Daily Download with Dr. Darrell R. Pulley, and I'm not in St. Petersburg, Florida. I am in Chautauqua, New York. That's right. Say it slowly. Chautauqua, New York. Yes, and we are here with the Daily Download because the Bible says that God daily loads us with His benefits. And I'm telling you, this day is already loaded with the lessons and the blessings of God. And my heart and my mind are open and receptive to receive all the good that God has for me. And I pray that your heart and your mind is open today to receive all the good that God has for you. Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome again to the Daily Download. Well, we've been studying Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. We've been looking at Genesis 1, Genesis 2, Genesis 3, and we've been pulling lessons from the Garden of Eden experience so that we can learn how to be our best selves and to live our best life. This week, we're dealing with questions. We're going to look at Genesis chapter 3, the entire chapter, and we're just going to extract all the questions from the chapter, just focusing on the questions, because a lot of us, we got questions going on. Yes, that's right. We got questions going on. So we're going to focus on the questions of Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to find some answers this week so that we can be healthy, so that we can be prosperous, and so that we can experience harmony in all of our relationships. So my subject for today is telling you that you've got the question and you've got the answer. That's right. Come on, affirm with me. I've got the question. I've got the answer. Pulley point number one. The first point is that there are questions that we have that we desire the answer to. Yes, you have questions inside of you. I got questions inside of me. There's so many things that go on in this life experience that we have questions about, things that we're not clear about, things that we're not sure about in a particular moment. So we have questions. And we see in this text that Eve had questions. She really desired to know whether or not she could disobey God, whether she could eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and if she would still experience the love of God. Let me say that again. She desired to know if she disobeyed God and ate from the tree that God told her not to eat of, if she ate from the fruit that God told her not to eat of, if she gave it to her husband, what would God do? Would God still love her? What would her life be like if she disobeyed God? And many of us are wondering, what if I don't follow the principles? What if I don't, follow through with my spiritual practices and my spiritual disciplines? What will my life be like? These were questions that were inside of Eve. Now the serpent, remember the serpent is that part of you that doesn't desire to grow, that doesn't desire to change, that doesn't desire to heal, that stays in the past. So that serpent was a part of her consciousness. And so in the form of a serpent, it was a part of herself that was asking questions. Every question that the serpent asked her was really a question that she had in her own mind. And so the serpent asked her, says, will you surely die if you eat of this tree? The serpent is asking her these questions. Did God really say that you can't eat of all the trees that are in the Garden of the Eden? The questions, if I eat of it, I'm going to be wise like God, and I'm going to be knowing good and evil. All of these things that were going on in her own mind and her own consciousness. And so pulley point number one is that we all have questions inside of us that we desire to know the answer to. And so pulley point number two is that then once we have these questions that we desire to know the answer to, we create experiences to answer our own questions. That's right, I said it. You are creating experiences in your life to answer your own questions. I'm going to say that one more time. We are creating experiences in our own lives to answer our own questions. And so whatever experience you're having right now, it's because there's a question that you had. And so you create an experience. You create your life based upon the questions that you have. So somebody has a question about health. So they're creating sickness, pain, disease, dysfunction, discomfort, so that their question about health can be answered. Somebody's having a question about finances. So they create situations with lack and limitation so that those questions about finances can be answered. Somebody has a question about relationships, and so they create disharmony and confusion and chaos in relationships to answer their own questions. So whatever experience you're having right now, you created it because you had a question. And it's not just negative things, but we create positive things. So to say, can I really do this? Can I really have love in my life? Can I really be successful? Can I really be healthy? Can I really be prosperous? Can I really live a holistically healthy, balanced, and well-rounded life? So we create experiences to answer our own questions. So it's time to take responsibility for your life. It's time to stop blaming other people and realize that whatever is going on in my life, I created that experience because I had a question. Don't blame God. Don't blame the devil. Don't blame anybody else, but take responsibility for your own question. There's something in you that desires to grow. There's something in you that desires to be prosperous, to be healthy, to have harmonious relationships. So you create experiences to answer that question within yourself. So pulley point number one is that we all have questions. Anybody tell you they don't have questions, they lying. I remember a teacher used to tell me the only stupid questions are the questions that you don't ask. So we all got questions. We all got stuff in our consciousness and our subconscious that we're questioning. Even when you hear somebody preach, or when you hear somebody teach, or when you have a certain experience, there's something in you that questions that. And so pulley point number one is that we all have questions. Pulley point number two is that we create experiences to answer our own question. Eve created that whole Garden of Eden experience with the serpent, with her husband, with the whole experience. She created it because she had a question. Can God love me even if I'm not obedient? Can God still bless me? What is to happen if I don't do what it is that God tells me to do? So she created this experience because she had a question, and you are creating your experiences based upon the questions that you have in your own consciousness. Pulley point number three. So not only do we create the question, not only do we create the experience, in order to end the experience, or in order to get the most out of the experience, we've got to remember the question and then remember the answer. Let me say it again. If you desire pain and suffering to stop in your life, then you got to remember, okay, what is my question about this? And what is the answer that this experience is providing for me? Because once I have the question and I have the answer, then I can release the experience. That's right, I said it. If I figure out what was my question and I see through the experience what was my answer, then I can end the suffering, I can end the pain, I can end whatever challenge is going on in my life. You've got to dig deeper into your own self to figure out, why am I having this experience? What is my question? What did this experience come to teach me? What question did this experience come to answer for me? Because I'm creating it all. We create our own experiences through our thoughts, through our words, and through our actions. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a woman thinks in her heart, so is she. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. We sow and we reap. So we create all of these experiences because there's answers to questions that we have that we can only answer for ourselves. The only way that Eve was going to be able to answer this question is she had to create the experience. And there's something in you that desires to know the truth about an aspect of yourself, an aspect of somebody else, an aspect of life. So you create an experience to answer your own question. So since you created the experience, go deep within yourself. Go in the stillness and the silence. Instead of complaining, instead of comparing yourself to somebody else, go into the stillness and the silence. Go within your own soul and ask yourself, why did I create this experience? What question is being answered for me through this experience? And once you remember the question and once you remember the answer through the experience, then you can stop that experience and have a new experience, or create more of that experience, or create less of that experience, because now I have the question and I have the answer. So this week we're dealing with questions. What's your question? What's based upon what's going on in your life right now? What is the question that you have? Based upon what you are experiencing right now, what is the answer that you are answering for yourself? So we're going back today and we're looking this week over the questions in Genesis 3. So pulley point number 1 was that we all have questions. Pulley point number 2 is that we create experiences to answer our own questions. Pulley point number 3, that once we realize what the question is and we receive the answer, then we can release the experience and let it go and move to our next experience. No, move to the next dimension. Go to a deeper level of ourselves, because we realize that I am creating it all. I love you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Daily Download. And let me tell you, you have been phenomenal last week. We had over 600 views each day. Our goal is 500. So we exceeded our viewers last week. We had increased abundance, overflow, and more than enough viewers. And we're going to keep growing in our views each week. So if you haven't already gone to the Dr. Darrell R. Pulley page, if you haven't already liked it, go to the Dr. Darrell R. Pulley page and like it. Go to the page so that you can receive notifications about when we're on the air. And remember to share this on your page. Share this good news with somebody else. If it's good for you, it's good for somebody else. Let somebody else know that whatever's going on in your life right now, you created, because there's a question that you needed the answer to. And so when you remember the question and you get the answer, you can release the experience. Yes, it's in your hands. You got the power. And so we'll be back tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. right here in Chautauqua, New York, bringing you the Daily Download. But until tomorrow morning, remember that God is doing something wonderful, amazing, and awesome inside of you, and God is doing it inside of me. I love you. God bless you. Have a positive and productive day.